50 Cent is having the time of his life right now because Rick Ross just pulled one of the biggest scams in history on Big Meech, and now Meech has allegedly put a hit on him. But here's the real kicker. Everyone saw this betrayal coming except for Big Meech himself. Now, the entire internet is eating up this drama like it's the season finale of the biggest reality TV show. But honestly, what was Meech expecting from an ex-cop? Well, let's take a deep dive into this rabbit hole.
Rick Ross knew perfectly damn well what he was doing and what that would lead to.
So, 50 Cent has been throwing some serious subliminals on social media at both Big Meech and Lil Meech ever since Rick Ross threw him under the bus. But the craziest part? Big Meech was out here cozying up to Rick Ross like he was his personal lord and savior as soon as he got out of prison some months ago. Instead of keeping his distance and appreciating the man who kept things gangster with him, Meech linked up with Ross, fully knowing that Ross has been one of 50's longtime enemies. Now, while 50 Cent wasn't exactly expecting Big Meech to treat Rick Ross like a sworn enemy, the fact that Meech was out here grinning in pictures with Ross and acting like Rick Ross had been holding it down for him for the past 2 decades, that had to feel like a knife straight to 50's jugular. And of course, the betrayal didn't stop there. Big Meech kept twisting that knife deeper by linking up with Floyd Mayweather, while Lil Meech, just to spite 50, was out here talking about real power. Like, is that how you repay the man who literally gave your son $5 million and a career all these years? Sure, people say 50 Cent made millions off Big Meech's name, but at least he built something from it. What did Rick Ross do other than play Big Meech like a game of chess? Ross knew this whole situation was going to turn into major drama, and he played it like the cunning man that he is, chasing clout, soaking up attention, and feeding his ego. And the moment things started heating up, what did he do? He started pulling away before anybody could even process what was happening. I mean, how else do you explain the fact that the second things got messy, Ross suddenly developed a shoulder injury and made sure the entire internet knew about it?
I'm doing right now. My shoulder broke, but we still getting to the money. We still counting paper. This ain't a pump and dump, baby.
Like suddenly, we're supposed to feel bad for him? And here's where things get even wilder. Rick Ross wasn't just using that shoulder injury as an excuse to distance himself from Big Meech. Nope, he was also using it as a cover to avoid answering to his fans, the same fans he scammed with his CryptoCoin boss token. People were all over the internet calling him Ruggy Ross because of the way he pulled the rug out from under everybody who trusted him with their money. Woo, it's safe to say he hit the ground hard. And let's not forget, it was just days after he lied to Big Meech and got exposed that he magically ended up with that broken shoulder. Honestly, that says a lot. And here's the thing. According to rumors, Rick Ross was the one hyping up Big Meech, telling him to ask 50 Cent to increase his money. Like, you literally can't make this stuff up. Now, Big Meech has nothing to his name as we speak, and that's exactly why other artists are avoiding him like he's got some kind of disease. Even the Wingstop franchises that everyone thought Big Meech was going to benefit from, word on the street is that Rick Ross low-key sold most of them off, leaving only about 2, just so he could funnel the money into his real estate business. And get this, if Rick Ross hadn't gotten in the way, Big Meech could have been making a serious comeback in the industry. But instead, he kept making silly decisions, and Lil Meech, he was out here blowing millions on his Chrome Hearts jeans, trying to keep up with stars like Ghana. And now, everything they had is completely gone. At this point, people are clowning Big Meech for how quickly this so-called friendship with Rick Ross blew up in his face. One of those voices has been Michael Rainey Jr., who straight up said he doesn't feel bad for either Lil Meech or Big Meech because they're both grown men and should have seen this coming from a mile away. And 50 was in a corner of the internet doubling down on it.
Bad for Lil Meech. I don't feel bad for no grown man on this planet. Like, I'm a grown man. Why the fuck I gotta feel bad for another grown man? Like, you a grown man too, nigga. You asking for my sympathy for, nigga. You be alright. Hoe ass, nigga.
Everyone already knows how crazy 50 Cent can get when it comes to his beefs with people, and even DJ Vlad agrees. 50 Cent is the last person you want to be on bad terms with, because he will burn it all down just to make a point.
We'll burn it all down if you piss him off. His own sometimes too. You know, he'll cancel BMF to prove a point. Regardless of how much money he makes.
Now, Big Meech isn't the first person Rick Ross has left high and dry. He literally did the same thing to his own crew, leaving them to get beaten up in Canada, only to come back later and say he was testing them to see how strong they were. Now, that's a diabolical move, but honestly, that's just how Rick Ross has been moving this whole time. Even Whack 100 called out Rick Ross for being the real bad guy in this whole drama with 50 and Big Meech, and he literally saw it coming from the jump. Ross was never a real friend to Big Meech. He knew exactly what he was doing from the jump. He hyped Meech up to be his ally while turning him against 50, making all these big promises about setting him up and helping him make money, but in the end, it was all just talk. I mean, as much as people hate to admit it, Whack 100 had a point. If Rick Ross was really serious about helping Big Meech get back on his feet, he would have kept their business low-key. But no, he was out here, roasting 50 and running his mouth about buying the rights to the BMF series, knowing damn well he was never going to do it. And now, none of that is happening, as Rick Ross has gone silent on Big Meech. The only thing Rick Ross is out here promoting is whatever's going to make his own pockets fatter, and Big Meech is no longer one of those things. And here's the part that has everyone's jaw on the floor. Word on the street is that Rick Ross was actually the real reason Big Meech's welcome benefit party got canceled, but the whole time he had us believing it was 50 Cent. And why did he do that? Simple. He didn't want Big Meech reaping all the benefits from that concert and making a major comeback in the game. Instead, he wanted Meech to stay in his shadow while he played the good cop role for the public. I mean, when 50 posted and later deleted, saying, "I had nothing to do with this, please stop calling my phone. I sincerely hope you have a nice day today. Happy Valentine's Day. I'm stronger than you think I am." A lot of people didn't believe him. But now, it's all making perfect sense. Big Meech was out here thinking Rick Ross was on his side, especially because of that whole BMF song where Ross rapped, "I think I'm Big Meech." Now, that's actually wild. But here's a question that might get your head spinning. What if Rick Ross really wanted to be Big Meech? I mean, think about it. Rick Ross has a whole history of building his brand off other people's identities, especially when those people are rap kingpins. It's not even up for debate. The man literally took his stage name from the real Rick Ross, a notorious kingpin who was sitting behind bars at the time. And let's not forget, when the real Rick Ross got out, he called him out for it and even tried to sue him. Now, this all happened in 2005, and by 2010, when the real Rick Ross, who ran a massive empire in the 80s, filed a lawsuit against rapper Rick Ross for trademark infringement and misusing his identity. Rosie claimed that he was lying and that he invented the name. And in 2013, a judge ruled in favor of the rapper because, let's be real, Rosie was richer, much more famous, and let's not forget that he used to be a cop, so everything was already working in his favor. And get this, the judge who ruled in Ross's favor claimed that his use of the name was protected under First Amendment free speech. With that ruling, the real Rick Ross lost the case, and William Leonard Roberts too got to keep the name, just like that. So, knowing all this, is it really that crazy to think Ross might have been trying to pull the same move with Big Meech? I mean, first he drops that BMF song talking about, "I think I'm Big Meech." Then he starts cozying up to Meech the moment he gets out, making it seem like he's got his back. But when it came time to actually help Meech make a real comeback, he was nowhere to be found. And this is just another example of what Rick Ross did to Larry Hoover back in 2021. Rick Ross has a long history of using Larry Hoover, who was a real kingpin in the rap world, to chase clout in his songs while Hoover was still locked up in prison. In fact, word on the street was that Rick Ross had paid millions of dollars to the gangster disciples just so he could keep using Hoover's name. But when it came time to actually stand up for Hoover's cause and show real support, he completely ghosted. I mean, instead of putting in real effort to help, he was just out here name-dropping and profiting off of Hoover's legacy while doing absolutely nothing to give back. And let's just say a lot of people were out here dragging Rick Ross because of that. Until this day, some people still say Rick Ross fumbled and was too scared to show his face at the stadium. And now, here we are again, history repeating itself. No wonder 50 Cent once said, he has never respected Rick Ross as a person, because let's be real, bro can turn on you at any time. And let's just say 50 is probably somewhere now just smirking through this whole drama, because he didn't even have to lift a finger before this whole situation flipped on its own. I mean, 50 is out there working on new projects and stacking up more paper by the day, while Big Meech and Lil Meech are out here going from one celebrity to another, allegedly begging for some change just to stay afloat. And let's not forget the craziest part. Rick Ross was out here calling 50 broke and laughing at him for not being able to secure the loan he needed to get his movie studio up and running. But surprise, surprise, just a couple of days ago, that loan got approved, and now Ross can see firsthand that 50 is actually that guy no one wants to mess with. A lot of fans are convinced that Rick Ross is probably out there punching the air right now, especially since just a few weeks ago, he was out here bragging about buying 50's masters. Looking back now, that claim sounds absolutely ridiculous. As for Lil Meech and Big Meech, it's clear that some lessons have been learned, even though it's kind of too late for 50 to take Lil Meech back or help Big Meech now. And one person who's had a lot to say about this whole drama is Zip with the Drip, who saw right from the start that 50 Cent was telling the truth about Big Meech. He predicted that sooner or later, the situation would get messy, with Rick Ross eventually ditching Big Meech, and here we are now. A lot of fans have been talking about this whole situation, and most people are saying Meech is done in the industry, cause the only comeback he could have made got messed up. I mean, you'd think that all that time Big Meech spent behind bars would have made him smarter or at least given him a better perspective on how to run things, but honestly, it's the complete opposite. And that's exactly why this user said, "Let me get this straight, a former corrections officer flip-flopping on somebody who was in prison, who could have seen that coming? And then a two-faced dude getting done over by another two-faced dude? There's a word for that. It's called karma." Yeah, and this karma got served fresh, straight out of the oven. But y'all, I really want to know your thoughts on this whole drama. Do you think Big Meech is out here plotting his revenge on Rick Ross? Or do you think he's just going to let this betrayal slide? Especially since he's also currently being accused of betraying his childhood friend, Cuff? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and if you enjoyed this video, make sure to smash that notification bell so you never miss out on more juicy updates like this. Mad at Big Meech and Lil Meech when he saw them hanging out with his ops. He said, "I did more for Mimi than anyone in his life, Boozy." That's why he responded like that. "If he gets locked up, I'm the first person he'll call. I bailed him out every time." When I saw him laughing at his pop's post, I said, "Oh, he's a snake too. He belongs with him." 50 Cent then talked about how he was basically Lil Meech's father figure when Big Meech was in jail. He put him through acting school, got him cleaned up when he was using, and put money in his pocket, so he didn't have to do illegal things. Interview. According to 50 Cent, everything changed when Big Meech got out of jail. Big Meech started giving Lil Meech bad advice. 50 Cent would be telling him about financial responsibility, and Big Meech would be encouraging him to spend money recklessly. 50 Cent said, "I thought about it. I think he was uncomfortable with my and Mimi's relationship. I'm telling Mimi I don't want him doing drugs. He's telling him he used to do it, acting like it's cool. I tell Mimi, chill, stop spending all your money. He's telling him how much money he blew. People don't know I had to send Mimi to rehab." Russell Hornsby noticed he was high as hell on set. He started throwing up at a weapons test. Then Ian told me the little ninja had whippets in his truck. I said, "What the hell are whippets?" I looked it up. It's the stuff that be in BB guns. So, to take all that for granted and now start blatantly insulting 50 Cent is crazy work. However, it doesn't look like they're planning to stop anytime soon. In fact, Rick Ross recently clowned 50 Cent for being broke, claiming 50 Cent doesn't have money to build his new G-Unit studio. According to Ross, 50 Cent also can't get any loans, so he's basically stuck right now. Interview. Allegedly, 50 Cent was furious when he saw Rick Ross's post, and he started threatening to pull out receipts proving who is really broke here. 50 also laughed at the idea of Big Meech thinking this beef has any effect whatsoever on his pockets. Let's be real, how much weight does Big Meech really pull? I mean, he was no doubt very popular back in the day, but baby, it's 2025. The economy is in shambles, Diddy is in jail, and everyone is worried about making next month's rent. Ain't nobody got time to be worried about some ex-convict trying to act like he's a local legend. I guess 50 Cent was onto something when he called Big Meech a wannabe Pablo Escobar, so the idea that Big Meech has so much influence that his beef with 50 is affecting 50's bag is honestly just a joke. Besides, 50 has beefed with more influential figures, and not a dime was taken out of his account balance. But trust 50 to turn this into a funny moment. But let me ask you this. Do you think 50 Cent is actually going broke? And if yes, do you think it has anything to do with the bad press from this beef? Or do you think Rick Ross is just projecting because he's the one losing money? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and then check out this next video.